Hey, we're partying like rock stars, you guys. Welcome. Welcome to the Fourfold Formula for All Things Wellness mini-series. I know it sounds very elaborate. Like it sounds like maybe we work for ABC now or something, and we might someday. This is the mini-series, and we're talking about the Fourfold Formula. It's a book that just came out. You can catch your copy on Amazon. Each episode that's going to be coming out is going to be co-hosted by many of the authors. And what they've done is talked about true stories, personal stories, trials and tribulations that they got on the other side of, that when you're sitting at home reading this book, you can connect to, whether it's a divorce, whether it's an addiction, whether it was something that you experienced with a medical condition or being overweight, you're going to connect with the stories in this book. And my co-author, Markus Wettstein, he's on his way to try to find himself. He's trying to download Google Chrome. So we are coming at you through StreamYard into Facebook Live. What I would love you to do is give us any questions, any comments that you have, and we're going to bring them up live, and our peeps are going to answer. So let's bring in our two co-hosts right now. We're going to bring in Janice Silva, and we're going to bring in Angie Courier. Both of them wrote some amazing stories. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. You beautiful ladies. How are you doing?
Good. Fantastic.
Yeah, Janice is coming from Maui. You can see that. Angie's hailing from kind of northern Colorado, where there's one post office and they'll walk your book right to your door. Right? Hey, you guys. So we were going to bring these episodes to everybody to just give them an idea of what the book is about. And we want to shove everybody to Amazon to grab their copy or to find, 1.4 pounds this baby's weighing in at, 1.4 pounds. And find your favorite author. There are 40 authors in this book. James Redfield wrote the foreword. That was exciting. That was super cool. But find your favorite author. Find their Facebook site, their LinkedIn, their Instagram, connect with the author. There might be a subject that they're talking about in their story that really resonates with you. Okay, what have we got? Mary Rose Constantino says, hello, ladies. We say hello to you. We say hello to you. Angie?
Yes.
Yes. Were you a writer before you decided to write a story in this book?
No. I never have written, and I don't like to read.
I just spit out of my magical unicorn mug. Hey, look who just showed up to the party. Let's let him into the party. Let's see if my co-host. What up, dude? Welcome.
Well, thank you. And I tell you, I'm on my cell phone because I don't have Google Chrome on my MacBook. So,
well,
sorry about that.
We were just talking about a MacBook. I was just telling these guys that I got one like 2 months ago and a nice screen, but I have no brain cells left at all to learn something new. So it's sitting on the floor.
That's why I haven't gotten one, because I just don't want to have to learn a new thing.
No kidding, right? No kidding. So Markus, my buddy, my co-author in this book, we're going to come back at you in a second there, Angie. First of all, welcome. And, you know, we were talking about this book where everybody can find it. I want to make sure if we have any reverb that our listeners or readers let us know. I'm just going to mute our lovely co-host here just for a second. But, you know, Markus, when we wrote this book, it's actually Markus on the reverb. When we wrote this book, we wrote it about the All Things Wellness Wheel. And we wrote it talking about how to balance 24 areas of your life. And I'm getting back to the co-authors because this is hysterical what I'm hearing. So you and I were like, let's base this on, you know, your trademarked wheel and talk about heart and spirit and mind and body and all these different areas that you have to balance to stay healthy, wealthy, happy, and wise. And so you and I dive into this book and we let the authors know, like, this is the framework, you know, write your stories and we're going to find a house for it. And then the book comes out. And I get a message today and from one of the authors, and is like, actually two today, because one of them's in the house. And one of them was like, I had really no idea what you and Markus were talking about when you wrote this book. Like, I had no idea what the book was really about. And then Janice reached out today, and you were saying you were pleasantly surprised, or what was it you were saying, Janice? Let me unmute.
I was just saying, it was lovely. I mean, every story is just so touching. And the foreword from James Redfield, it just blew my mind. You know, he blew my mind in the 80s when I was in my 20s. And again, just the emphasis on wellness over illness. And this is so much in alignment with what I've been talking about and what got me through and what my chapter is really about. And I was excited to see that it was just so much. It's just so beautiful and so cohesive, and really has a great message, and from multiple people, which lends so much credibility to this idea of a more holistic approach. And I'm grateful for that. And I love everything that you're saying in here.
That's awesome. That's really good. So Angie, did you know what the book was about, or what we were trying to base it on, or were you mostly focused? Because you weren't a writer initially, right?
No, I was never not a writer. No. And the health and wellness part of it, I've kind of followed you because you're my sister. So I know things that way, but it was never something that I would just reach out to somebody and say, hey, I want to write a story, you know, for health and wellness and that sort of thing. But no, I was excited once I started. It was okay. And then as we were digging deeper into the story, I didn't know if that's what I really wanted to do. So, but then it seemed like a couple other stories came out of me right after that. So I was like, well, maybe there is something here. Maybe, you know, so, cause I don't usually have a whole lot of time to just sit down and just start writing. So
look,
there he is.
Hi, welcome back. We've got issues with muting each other here. Okay, are you talking to yourself as well?
Why is my mic not on?
No, it is now. I unmuted you.
Well, you know, like Janice said, you know, the holistic approach of all of this, it's sort of like the idea of the wellness wheel is that we don't need to go to a holistic practitioner. That honestly, if you look at your story and you tie it into the wellness wheel, you're going to wind up understanding what we're driving at is a self-recognition of issues and self-mitigation of potential problems that can come up in the future. And that's what it's all about. And every author taught me that, you know, we do have that general framework in place, and we just have to plug it in and figure out where our deficiencies are, and we get through that. And so all your stories helped to understand how you can tie this in to a generally usable tool. And that's the idea of making it work for everybody who wants to pick it up and is interested in improving themselves. No holistic practitioner involved. It's you are responsible. That's it. And that's what Wellness War is, our second one. You know?
Yeah, that's right. We're coming out with a second book called Win the Wellness War, and the acronym stands for We Are Responsible.
Thank you.
And yeah, good job, Markus. You know, everybody that's listening and watching, we'd love to hear from you tonight. If you have any questions for, you know, Angie and Janice, or even Markus, we wrote stories in the book. Maybe you've picked up your copy already. Maybe you've read something, or you just have a general question like, yo, Angie, what's your story about? Or Janice, or why did you want to write? Or maybe you guys are interested in starting a support group once you hear what their stories are about. Hey, hit us up here. We will throw your question on the board.
You know, I think, can I just add one thing real fast? I was going to say, we are so timely. And I love that because everybody's so stressed out. And I talk to people every day, and they're just the anxiety. And when we have anxiety, we don't sleep. And then when we don't sleep, it all trickles down into all aspects of our lives. And we wonder why we're so over medicated. I'm grateful to be medication free today. And I'm constantly evaluating and looking at it and taking responsibility. And some may say, you know, I'm taking too much responsibility and I should be going. And I do. I try to find balance. But I love the wellness. I love the wheel. And I love that what you said about when we incorporate all of it, right, and address wherever the deficiencies are, you know, it's a whole process, a whole system. And so I'm just really grateful that I survived what I went through, because stress darn near killed me. And I'm grateful to have experienced it. It gives me more empathy. And I think it'll help me live longer, because my focus is on wellness instead of fearing disease, like James talks about in the foreword. And I mean, just when you start the book off, it's so fantastic. I love the page 2 where you guys say, you know, you are real people with real problems who have shared your heart and soul. And that's what it is. These are real people that, and reading it, you know, my story, it really did darn near kill me, and was really the most challenging thing I ever went through. And yet I read the other stories and I go, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't have it so bad. And so it's like there's one after the other that is just more challenging, and we can find much hope in all of it, you know?
Yeah, I bet. Angie, what have you felt when you've been reading some of these other stories? Because I know you got your book kind of early on-ish, or you were reading. Actually, let's be transparent. She helped me read it when it first came out so I could just get some other eagle eyes on the prize. So when you were reading those stories, what was resonating? Because yours is a tough one. Yours is a tough one. I know when Markus and I were editing it, he reached out to me because he didn't know we were related. We attacked this project without revealing kind of that, and it touched Markus's heart. So when you were reading some of the other stories, were you going, wow, that one's kind of tough? Or like, what did you feel?
Oh, yeah. I haven't read a lot of the stories. It's a slow process for me. And so sometimes I reread the story to make sure I'm comprehending it correctly. And I think I've read Markus's and another one, but like with Markus's story, I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, kind of like what Janice said, mine's not so bad when you're coming from that kind of place, you know. I mean, everybody has gone through a lot of hell, you know, and so to write it down and actually think of everything that went on in that moment when you're writing that story and what it was about, I just feel that it was icky for me at first, but reading these other stories, I'm like, oh, they were icky too, you know.
Why don't you tell the viewers and listeners a little bit of a overview of what your Markus, you are having struggles with muting and unmuting.
Try and without covering my face. No, I was going to say, Angie, you know, you're saying that my story is tough because I lived it. It's a whole lot easier for me. And putting it on paper, yeah, it opens up some wounds and it makes it more difficult to be that open on paper. But it was not as big a deal as reading your story. You see, so from my perspective, it's completely the opposite. I have no problem with what I went through. That's why I'm still here. You know, I didn't take the bullet or anything. But when I read your story, I was going like, man, I could not have gone through that. You know, so it goes both ways, honestly, and it goes with all the authors and with all the stories. It's just like it's great to let it out, but it's much greater for other people to read it and see, wow, okay, here is an exit door. And let's take that one because it works. That person is still around. He put it on paper. Let's go for it. You know? See?
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Angie, will you tell everybody a little bit of a synopsis of what your story's about?
Kind of like a love lost and love again with drug addiction. I I went through 7 years of being a methamphetamine addict, and I overcame a lot of challenges that I quit on my own. Well, not really lost, but disconnected, I guess, with my 2 biological children for 22 years. And then thinking I was in love and things like that, and then turning around and losing everything that I had, and then coming back from it. And here I am today, and, not knowing what I've done to my body, and hopefully it's not anything too drastic. Hopefully I'll be okay.
You're 21 years clean?
I will be 20 and a half years. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Janice, what are your thoughts?
Well, having I'm a strong codependent and have lived with and around multiple alcoholics and drug abusers, and I myself had issues with it early on. My husband has 32 years sobriety from alcohol. And I'm so grateful to not be a fan. I've seen what alcohol does to people and all of it, right? But I think that we all have been searching, right, for our solutions and our wellness. And so you're like in the right place, because you're surrounding yourself with all these healthy minded people. And that's so important, who we're around and who we're listening to. And mostly we're listening to ourselves, right? We keep saying that we have everything it takes to heal. And I heard you say something, hopefully not too much damage, but I just really like to think that my mantra lately has been, and words are very important to me. You'll read that in my chapter, but I'm always in the right place at the right time. And if I'm in the right place at the right time, I can never be in the wrong place, and I can't be missing out on any good. And so you're in the right place at the right time, which is blessing all aspects of your life. And there doesn't have to be repercussions, physical repercussions to any of it. We can just take off in the other direction. And I love that. And I love that the book supports that. And the more you read it, I mean, so many people, I look forward to really, it is taking me a while. I too am reading slowly and processing it. It's a lot of stuff. And I can't wait till I can actually have maybe a day where I could sit by the pool and read it. But it's a great read, because it just reinforces that we're in the right place at the right time. And the more we can know that and trust that, the more we can make progress. And James, I'm really enamored with him. I always have been, because he is so right on. And it just amazes me that the synchronicity of life has set me up to be in a book that he wrote the foreword for. And I've been wanting to be a writer since I was in my 20s. I've taken writing classes, but every time I wanted to be a painter, I wanted to be a musician. Every time that things would start to go, things would get in the way. And so I'm really excited that, maybe I got something out there now, and I can say I'm a writer, and I look forward to doing more of it. this is going to take me a lot. I carry it with me everywhere. I'm like, it's kind of embarrassing. I mean, people are like, oh, wow, she's proud of herself. But I'm like, look at this, you guys, you got to check it out. So the more we can share it and get out there, the more we can make a difference in people's lives. And that's why I do this.
What's really cool about this, Marcus keeps trying to unmute himself, and I keep muting him because he's good. Well, I've got lighting issues and you've got reverb issues. Yours is going up. It's like you're a rapper. You just brought up a good point, and I want to speak to the other 2 peeps in the house. Is, when Angie and Marcus, who I know obviously very well, I would consider them more introverted, right? And so they may not have taken the step to go meet 39 other people in a very public arena on Facebook, or going live on social media, or writing something like this. And so, Marcus, can you speak to just the personality change? What you've evolved even personally. And here we go, struggling again. So I got you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, the introversion basically came from avoiding trouble. And for you guys who read my story, it's basically just, pain and suffering as a result of misbehavior according to the parents and stuff like that. So what comes of that is you take care of yourself and only yourself, and you don't worry about anybody else. The change occurred, well, the willing to change first occurred through writing my story. You know, just putting it out on paper and realizing for myself what's actually deep down in there helped me to realize, well, that is unfortunate, but obviously you got through it. You're here, so you dealt with it. That would not have changed the introversion. What did is that all of a sudden the network started growing, and I started seeing author stories, and I started realizing that I'm not alone. And that was basically a game changer for me in a major way, because all of a sudden I felt like I was actually supported for letting myself be vulnerable out there, which was absolutely not the case before this book. So, and with that, the liberty, the freedom that comes from that with regards to myself realizing how much anxiety and stress I create by trying to put the lid on all of this that is, like you said in the beginning, which I didn't believe, teaching other people and helping other people. I did not believe in that at all. Now it's a completely different story. So it is quite a transformation, I must say. And it is amazing, and it needs to be shared so that other people join, because we got too many stressed out people in the world that are doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons. You know?
Yeah. Were you surprised, Angie, on the community that got built?
I was. There was a lot that went into it, obviously, more than what I would ever have imagined. I've not seen how a book is produced, and then to see all the media, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, this media partner, he liked what I said today on Facebook, or he put a heart on my picture, or oh my gosh, he asked me to do this interview with him on his podcast. And I'm like, I didn't even know who these people were. I still don't. I mean, there's a lot I need to look into and research, but it's really crazy. And then I was thinking before that, once my story, it was so surreal that I'm like, oh my gosh, this is happening, and my story is now out there, and I can't do anything to change it. And I got anxious, yes, because I was thinking, what are people going to think of me now? Are they, because judgment is strong. It doesn't matter who you are. Judgment. I don't want to be judged. I don't want to judge somebody else. I went through a tough period in my life, and I'm not there anymore. I'm thankful for that. But now other people are going to know and find out who I am or who I was. And that kind of is that's my scariest feeling, even though it brings tears to my eyes. Even though I am not that person anymore, I've overcome all of that, and I don't struggle with that. It's the I don't talk about myself very often.
Right.
So
I had somebody ask me, now that the stories are getting out there, they'll come and ask me different questions like, well, what about this person? Is this person afraid of this or this? And so we have some addiction stories. And I actually had somebody ask, is Angie concerned about her current employer that she has shared? She's had this history, but I don't think that way. And I'm sure you didn't until this came out. And Markus is a physician, and in corporate America, I kicked corporate America's ass to the curb. Anyway, I digress. But Markus, what was your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was in a position of hiring and firing. And I tell you, when you have an openness like this in front of you, that's the person you hire, because there is no gameplay. There is no hidden agenda that is trustworthy and has managed to live through adversarial life events that other people have not even touched. So it's not a a badge of valor or anything like that, but it characterizes the person in a way that is frequently more revealing than what you get when you read through a normal, CV curriculum vitae, because most people are just babbling. I've seen a lot of them, and even the websites that tell you how to produce this kind of stuff is not to the point. When I read stuff, I'm looking deeper. I'm looking behind the words to see what that person is reflecting, and is it of value to me and the company that I'm hiring for or not. And these are values that are irreplaceable. People with that type of openness and with this type of capabilities of getting through adversarial situations in life, that's a definite positive and not a negative. Absolutely not.
I love that, Markus. I love that. You guys, we are, this is what happens with an episode that's 30 minutes long. It's like an awesome sitcom that you have to come back next week, except we're having 3 in 24 hours. So you can come back tomorrow at noon. You can come back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. You can come on Sunday at noon. You're going to have more co-hosts. We're going to keep doing this. There's no end. We don't need to stop in 2 weeks. Why? Because we wrote this book from our heart to share these stories and to shine the light on these authors, because their stories represent every single spoke of this wheel. Janice lost her family business that she built from the ground up, their love. We call her the Lavender Lady. That is her story in the book. And then she went through an injury. I mean, we're coming up on ending this show. And Janice, I want to throw at you a question. We'll come around with final thoughts. And I just want to ask you, if you had to give a call to action or tell somebody how they can get through something like you did, what would you say?
Well, you know what, just in repeating what Markus said, when we're authentic, right? When we're authentic, it's attractive. And so by sharing our stories, we are attracting, right, what we want. We're also attracting people that would be interested in hearing from us and benefiting. So I hope the book is a big blessing. And when I share, it heals me. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much. And my advice would be real, be you, be authentic.
I love that. It's really hard to be transparent. I mean, it's hard for anybody to be transparent. Anybody out there who's especially an entrepreneur or in business, or a male. I'm just going to be, I don't want to be gender specific, but we're not brought up to talk about emotions or to tell our stories or to go deep. We're kind of like, suck it up, buttercup, and go on. But I'm telling you guys, you'll find more friends. You're more like others than not. And, Angie, coming back at you, what would be your thoughts, kind of a call to action, or how people can get through something like you went through?
I mean, not everybody's the same, so it's hard to say, but you got to find strength within yourself, I guess, to, mine was addiction. So just stopping it and trying to find, I guess, people that are supportive, definitely supportive, because you can't really do it without support, whether it be family or friends. And then just, I've learned to live, laugh, and love. And that's my favorite motto. And, I try to do it to the best of my ability now. That's all. I've had too much sadness, and I'm ready for just happiness and loving and positive energy out there.
You're muted, Peggy. Just wanted to let you know. I'm just being kind, because being kind gets us there.
I tell you, with StreamYard, this little darn thing, the reverb, if you're listening, StreamYard goddesses, please fix the reverb stuff. Thank you, Janice. Angie, if people wanted to reach out to you and connect with you and share, just be open and honest with you, how is the best way for them to find you? Is it through Messenger?
On Facebook, under Angie Courier. Or you can reach me at my email at ajhinkle5@yahoo.com.
Thank you. That's awesome. And maybe could you, after the show airs, if you could put that in the comment section as well, so people could fall back on that. That's amazing. Janice, what about you, if people want to reach out and get some assistance?
I'm at Dream Big with Jan on Instagram because I really want to inspire people to keep dreaming, that they have it in them and they can do whatever they want. And you can find me on Facebook at Jana Silva, or my email for janasilva@gmail.com. Thanks.
Super duper. Markus, we're going to end this with a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of a challenge. We're going to give away 5 autographed books. You have a half hour, y'all out there, till 8 o'clock Eastern PM to get out there on Amazon and buy a book and email me the receipt or invoice. So for the first 5 people that send me an emailed invoice or receipt at Peggy@allthingswellness.com, we're going to give you a free autographed book. Now, hey, buy one, get one free, and give it away is kind of, let's share the love. Markus, what are some final words?
There you go. I would say, yes, this is a good opportunity to pay it forward. The concept, so if you buy one for yourself, you can also hand one out to somebody else who is hopefully going to benefit from that just as you do. And they will do the same thing. That's what we're hoping for. It's a change of affairs. It's not about, getting your best interest out of all of this. It's about sharing.
Sharing is caring. Thank you guys for showing up for episode 1. We're going to keep doing this tomorrow at noon. You can find Teresa Velarde and Faith Pierce are going to go ahead and be our co-host tomorrow at noon. And then we're coming up tomorrow night at 8 o'clock with Rachel, who's Rachel Sweet, Andy Scarantino, and they're going to be our co-hosts. And again, you can reach me at Peggy@allthingswellness.com. And we love you, and we are going to say goodbye. Cheerio. Good night.